Folks, today we're gonna sweat like crazy and we're gonna build some DIY raised beds with wood that came off the sawmill yesterday. A few weeks ago, this lumber was laying on the forest floor. It was a tree that fell down, and now we're gonna build some awesome raised beds out of white oak. If you don't have access to oak like this, you can always go to the lumber store and pick up some lumber. These are 2x12s and build this exact same box. Hope you guys enjoy. Woo!
I ain't afraid of work, I ain't afraid of play, I ain't afraid to get the job done and do it my own damn way. I ain't afraid of life, times like this. If you mess with my freedom, I'll tell you just what you can kiss. That's right.
Welcome to the channel. If this is your first time here, please jump in, pound the like button, subscribe. I'd love to have you back. The first thing we've got to do is we've got to test these heavy-duty deck type screws on this lumber, because I don't know if you can appreciate the magnitude of what white oak is, but white oak is really, really hard. You'd be hard pressed to drive a nail in this lumber once it's dry. Now, I just milled this about 2 days ago, so let's give her a try first. We're just going to test this in. We're going to be cutting this off because it's checked right there on the end, meaning that it's cracked. We're going to test her out and see if I can set a screw all the way down in it. Yep. So if it was anything other than this hex head type screw, it wouldn't work. You got to have a driver to drive that thing in. So the first step we've got to do is we've got to cut these. These are going to be 8-foot by 4-foot beds. So I'm going to lop off the ends, square everything up, and then we're going to cut 4-foot sections off of the long boards, and then we're going to take the short boards, which are underneath here. We've got some that are 8-foot and some that are, well, they're 9-foot, and some that are about 13-foot. So we're going to go ahead and cut those off. What we'll be using today are a couple cool electric chainsaws. I'll show you guys. Okay, so if you guys are wondering what kind of screws we've got strong drive SDWS framing screws. Things are getting expensive, man. These are 12 bucks for 50 screws. I bought 100 of them just in case we'll need them. What we're going to do is we're going to square off the end. So I've got my speed square right here, and we can do it with the speed square, or we can use our framing square. I'm kind of going to set the speed square in place, then set the framing square, then take a lumber pencil and mark my ends so that they're straight. Okay, so laying that in place, mark it, and that's just lopping off the end. We'll go ahead and do 2 of these real quick. You can see what I mean. It's checked. It's busted up all the way back here. We're not going to throw away a whole lot of lumber, but we're going to make sure that we do a nice, neat job. Okay, so nice and straight. We've got 2 tools we're going to be using today. We've got 2 electric chainsaws, and this is hard wood, so I anticipate killing a battery in 1 or 2 of them. This is the Works brand electric chainsaw. We're going to use it first, and we're going to use the Steel brand. The Steel MSA 140C, I've got like 450 bucks in this thing. This one, I've got somewhere in the neighborhood of like 150 bucks. So they both pretty much do the same job. In fact, I think the Works gets a little bit better bite. You guys be the judge. We're going to go ahead and fire it up and cut this straight line as straight as I can with a chainsaw. Okay, so we're ready for our next cut. We're gonna go ahead and take an overall measurement of this board and make sure we don't make a boo-boo. Yeah, it's about 13 feet. So we've got about a foot to play with here. What we're gonna do is we're gonna cut this right at 48 inches. And this board is heavy, man. Okay, we're at our 4-foot mark here. Slide this guy out, put our straight edge up. Mark on our straight edge. So we got our speed square again. I'll post links to speed square and to the Works chainsaw. I can't post a link to the Steel chainsaw because they don't sell them online, as convenient as that might be during a pandemic. Hear me rant. So we're gonna go ahead and mark this line, this straight line, and this is 8 foot. All we're using the square for is a straight edge right now, but we will use the square to square up the planter boxes. And we're not building furniture here. We're just building a raised bed. This white oak should last a good 8 to 10 years before it starts to rot, and then we'll take it apart and throw it in the compost heap or burn it for firewood. Instead of setting up sawhorses, I'm just using the pallet forks on the tractor right here. Again, this thing is heavy, 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 heavy. So I'm moving everything out of the way because it probably weighs at least 110 pounds maybe. Oh, yeah. We're just gonna repeat these processes and then we'll take you guys over here when we start screwing everything together. Got 4-foot section, 8-foot section, 4-foot section, 8-foot section. These are about 9 feet long. They're shorter than the other ones. So we'll square these off at 8 foot and then we'll cut one of them in half. So you can see we've got everything all laid out for our first planter box. A big thank you to Tony from Tony's Tractor Adventure. I'm enjoying your coffee cup, buddy. Gotta get that morning Joe in. We're gonna set that to the side. We're gonna go ahead and we're just gonna set this stuff up. This is not rocket science, guys. We're gonna put the 4-foot portion in the inside. In other words, I'll show you real quick. We're gonna match these 2 corners. Just that simple. The height of the first one, and they need to be flush here and right here. Squared up on the corner. Oh, that's nice, man. That's super tight. Square up the bottom corner real quick and we'll pull it in. We're actually gonna do 3 screws per corner. We're gonna use Mother Nature's leveler right here. See how this is a little higher than that? We'll just chuck a little dirt under there and boom, we're flush as we can be. Now that we've got our planter box started, what we're gonna do is we're gonna slide it to the appropriate position and we're gonna level it up. You can see it's kind of off down to the left. So I've got a hoe and I'm gonna scrape out and we're gonna level her all up and then we're gonna build the next layer. Now you guys might be thinking, holy cow, that thing's gonna be like this deep. Well, yeah, it's gonna be deep. I've got a huge pile. What's growing on top of this is ragweed, but that's a huge pile of awesome garden soil. So we'll take the tractor and we'll scoop that out after these dry out for a couple days and get settled. We'll scoop all that out and we'll put it in the garden beds and then we'll put a little mulch around our plants and a little bit of compost. Awesome. Again, guys, we're not building furniture, but we'll take a dead blow hammer, a rubber mallet, and get this guy centered over the other one. So you might be saying, oh, what about all the scraps, man? I thought you didn't let anything go to waste on the farm. Well, it didn't. I don't. I cut these in half And what I'm doing is shoring up the corners with them. So I butted this one into this corner, and we're gonna screw it right there so that this box doesn't shift. If you know what I mean, so the upper box doesn't shift on the lower box right here. This is a deep planter box, and the reason it's so deep and tall is because I'm a tall guy and I want to save my back. So you build a planter box, it's easier to weed, easier to maintain, easier to water, and it's easier on your back, and that's the biggest thing. So we're gonna go ahead and shore up the corners real quick. If you don't have access to this kind of lumber, search around on Facebook Marketplace. I'll bet you can find something like this, or you can find somebody that'll custom cut for you. If you can't find that, just go pressure treated and line the inside. And again, these are true 2x12, so 2-inch thick by 12. You won't find true 2-inch thick by 12 in the store. So we're gonna get busy on Big T right here, and we're gonna repeat this process with that stack of lumber. We'll go ahead and build another planter box right here. You can get these things squared up with a big mallet if you need to, or a sledgehammer if you need to square them up a little bit once you get them built. I'm gonna go a little obsessive later on and string these all out so that they're all perfectly square. Now, around the planter boxes, we're gonna put sawdust. I've got a load of sawdust that I had brought out here. That's little T, our TYM 254 with the big tool rack on the back. That's what I keep my chainsaws and everything on. But we have a big pile of sawdust. I'm gonna put that sawdust all around the bottoms of these planter boxes for weed control. This garden grows stuff. When you've got a garden that grows weeds, it grows veggies, but weeding this area was too much of a chore. Well, folks, we got her done. Those are the raised beds. Again, this is 2x12 material. You could buy the lumber at the store, or you can do what we did and pick it up off the forest floor. But man, they made some beautiful, beautiful raised beds. I'm gonna leave these sitting for probably at least a week before I fill them up with this garden soil that we have back here. And I'm gonna top it off with some composted cow manure. So we're gonna have our tomatoes and all sorts of stuff. I've also got the starts of the next raised bed right here. So we gotta fire the mill back up and mill up some more lumber, make some more raised beds. My goal is to have about 10 of these raised beds, and that should be plenty of food for me and my family. Guys, thanks a lot for joining me here on the Stoney Ridge today. We'll see you next time. Please pound the like button, jump in, subscribe to the channel. I'd love to have you back for more fun projects like this. See you next time. Woo!
Come on down to the Stoney Ridge, bring your wife.